Hello everyone and welcome back to Cities by Steven. You're talking to Steven. Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, please hit that subscribe button, get that bell notification on too so you don't miss out on a video. Welcome back to the channel where last time we were here, we built up the second farming town of Dipsy Doodle, and I think it turned out great. We added in some more farms as well, and we're really starting to get the farming industry going. And in today's episode, we are going to be working out in the same area again, but we're going to be focusing more in the town of Prattsburgh, specifically around the Canal area and getting the oil industry going. So I got a lot to talk about, but let's hop out and take a look at what we did last time. So here is the town of Dipsy Doodle, and there's a few changes, just some minor buildings, making them historical and stuff. But I really like how this looks. I really like this potato and potato farm area. And yeah, I just expanded the town a little bit. Made sure that the buildings that we got in the Main Street area weren't too tall or anything like that. But we expanded out over here just a little bit just to get some more people out this way. But I think it turned out really nice. I really like this town. This is a perfect small town. And yeah, honestly, couldn't be better. So out over here in the town of Prattsburgh, it's not that much bigger than Dipsy Doodle. Yet this is supposed to be the bigger of the two towns, so we need to make sure that we expand Dipsy Doodle a little bit, and one way that we can do that is by working along the canal area. Now, I've been looking into canals in the Pacific Northwest, and there's not a lot of them. There's not a lot that meet our specific kind of criteria either. So we'll be talking about that and the reasoning on what we're going to do out here in a second, but we're going to be expanding out into this area here, this little lake area, which I've lowered the water in this area a little bit, as you can see where the dock used to be, but we'll get into that in a second. And here is where we're going to have some oil industry. Now, there is some natural gas extraction in British Columbia, so I'm thinking that's kind of the route we go down, because this is a British Columbia themed city. But then there's also this castle over here, which I think we could turn into, say, like an old lumber mill or something like that if we remove the turrets. I don't think the turrets really work, but the main central building kind of looks like an old industrial factory or something like that. So I think we could do something with that, particularly because it's at a really good point in Dipsy Doodle right there, right at the edge. So that's going to be the plan today, kind of focusing along the canal area, building it out, hopefully at least to this main street area here along the waterfront. And then we can get like a ferry going through here, because that was one of the main features. And then we can get quick access into Port Roberts from the ferry. So I think that would be really nice to have. And then if we have time, we're going to be expanding the farming industry a little bit more. I don't know if we need any more crops for the time being, but we definitely need some more animal products, maybe a bit more flour, but maybe we could look at doing some non-industries DLC farms, just kind of to take up some space and make it look more rounded out this way. So here is the canal. The canal, which has a name, which I'll name in a second, was likely built because of the natural gas / oil area. And they felt that it was best if we had this little canal here so that they could have a little port on the side so that they could ship the gas and oil in barrels out into the lake and then out into the ocean to ship out to other regions, right? So it's not that big of a canal. But it definitely serves an industrial purpose, not a passenger purpose or anything like that. So I think it fits the theme of British Columbia, because there are a few canals that were built that are like that. However, there's nothing that meets the specific criteria that we're looking for. However, one of the viewers, Brian Scott Cameron, posted in the Discord some pictures of a really cool canal in Nova Scotia, which is on the opposite side of Canada, but it meets this almost exact criteria. So we're going to be taking a look at that on Google Maps right now, where I'll kind of describe more about why we're going to be doing the canal this way, and kind of maybe a bit more of the local history of the area, and then also of Oracle Valley here. All right, so here we are looking at Google Maps and the inspiration of the canal that we're going to use. So we're actually looking at Nova Scotia, specifically in this part of Cape Breton, which is the north of Nova Scotia. So why are we looking at this canal all the way on the east coast of Canada when we're building on the west coast of Canada? Well, it's because the themes are really similar. We have a lake, an interior lake, with a little teeny canal right here at St. Peter's, which leads out into a bay, which can then be shipped to the wider world. So the macro theme is there, but I think we're looking at this at a much more micro scale in City Skylines. So let's take a look at the canal here, because we have a little teeny canal running between the two bodies of water, and it at one point served a commercial and industrial purpose for shipping goods from the lake, whether it be for commercial reasons, for industrial reasons, into the bay, where things could then, get shipped out to many different ports around the world, likely more local ports from this area. But if we're looking at the canal itself, it has some really fun themes along it as well. So since this is on the ocean, it is tidal. So there needs to be a good lock system in place, because the tides shift, the tides rise, the tides lower. We need to make sure that we accommodate that, and we will in the episode. So if we go down through here, well, actually, let's looking at the vegetation here. It kind of seems like it could be in British Columbia with all the pine trees and whatnot. So I think this is a really good kind of gauge for the area. But yeah, really like this area of Nova Scotia. Now, if we go a bit further into the canal here, we can see that now it's only really used for pleasure craft, fishing boats, stuff like that. But it used to definitely serve a more commercial purpose. But here we go, we're at the locks. Now these locks shift together to form like a V shape, and that's something we're going to do. We can kind of see it down here. So there's like a V shape right through here, but yeah, it's going to be kind of what we're going to be doing. And I feel like having this kind of nature beside it is something that's going to be good. It makes it definitely seem pretty cool. I like how there's hills on both sides too. That's really nice. And I think we could get something really similar here. But we're not done looking at canals, because if we zoom back out and we go all the way over to the west coast of North America, I was looking at another canal that we're going to talk about in the episode, and it's in Seattle actually, so it's a pretty close theme to our cities that we're kind of basing this off of in British Columbia. But if we're looking at Seattle, and we have Lake Washington, and then Lake Union, and then the ocean, there is a canal right here. It's called the Montlake Cut. And the reason why I'm kind of mentioning it is because we're going to be lowering the water level in the lake, or I actually already did before the episode. And when they did this canal, they actually prepped the lake to have its water level lowered pretty significantly. So I think we're going to do the same thing and run those same themes in City Skylines, where the lake was lowered significantly for the canal, because the water levels are much different between the ocean and the lake. So in the same sense that that canal was done for industrial purposes, along with Lake Washington, we're doing the same thing in City Skylines. So those are the themes that we're going to be doing. So I will talk to you back in City Skylines in a second. All right, so yeah, pretty cool canal. I think that is a good kind of theme that we can use in a micro sense. It's very similar, right? We have the mini lake that's mainly for industrial purposes. We can bring boats through the canal here. Not anymore though. I think that practice has stopped. But I think that this is going to be really good, and I really like the way the canal looks. I think we could get something really similar, particularly because of the height issues that we have here, right? So we could get like a cool little walking path along the side here, but we should and could kind of make it so that the hills kind of blend a little bit better into the canal. I think that'd be really cool to kind of make it a little bit more forested and whatnot. And then we can tie it into a bit of waterfront, totally different from the canal that we just looked at. But yeah, there's not a ton of canals in British Columbia, and that's because by the time British Columbia and the West Coast, particularly like Oregon and Washington State, they don't really need canals anymore, because by the time that they were settled, they had trains. Canals were a bit before trains. But one canal that I'm thinking of in particular is the canal in Seattle that connects Lake Washington with the ocean. And as a result of that canal, which is very similar, Lake Washington was lowered. because of the water levels. So I'm thinking that could be something similar here. You know, it served an industrial purpose at the time. Lowering the water levels allowed for the boats to get in from the ocean through here with only one lock, I think, like that, or something like that, or maybe there wasn't a lock. Not remembering properly, but that's okay. But I think this leaves a cool kind of option here. So maybe this was like an old dock, and then we can create like a new port nearby for the oil and gas. But I think this theme works. So let's name these canals and lakes after the peoples who probably made them, because that's kind of typically how these types of things are done. So this is going to be called the Webster Canal. And the comment that suggested Webster Canal was because it was the local politician that was arguing for the canal, probably with the lobbyists from the oil and gas company. Baxter Lake, after the founder of the first oil and gas company that worked out this way. So that means we're going to need to get an industry area out this way for the oil and gas. And why are we doing oil and gas out this way? And first of all, just in general, well, we definitely need the money from the industry so that we can expand out in the downtown core with the campus and just the downtown in general, getting some unique buildings out there and whatnot. So we need to get some industries going, and we need the plastics that we can make from the oil and gas to create some factories. And I have a few factories that are going to go in this little zone, I think. So I think that would be really useful to have out this way. So we're going to name the oil and gas industry Baxter Oil and Gas Limited. So it's probably some pretty old company, and maybe we could even turn this into part of Baxter Oil and Gas. All right, so before we get going too deep on this, anything else that is new? Well, I definitely read all the comments. I try to respond to every single one, and some of the comments gave me some notice that we should probably change a few minor things. So let's go over them. And one of them is that this rail through here, we could totally just get a level crossing and just connect it up. It's better for gameplay, and we were going to be able to do some shipping. So we connected up this rail through here. It goes across the rails. They shouldn't connect, so we could do that. Now, that would definitely involve some good coordination between the train conductors and, you know, HQ. But then now we have connection onto this northern rail line. So that should be good, as long as everything works properly, but that's still to be seen. And then over in here, we have our apple juice factory. But we've changed it to a cider house, because who doesn't love a good cider? So there it is. And one more thing is in Prattsburg, we have the train station. Oh, this is convenient that there's a train. I put the spawn point over here on this side by the parking lot. So I'm hoping that make sure that there's no pocket cars out this way, but it looks like everyone's walking, so that's useful. And then while we're doing that, this leveled up. So there we go. Laurel Farms leveled up to level 3. Okay, so now let's talk about specifically the canal, because we just looked at why we're going to be doing the canal this way. So let's grab our terrain tools, and we're just going to build up this side, and then we're going to do a bit of leveling on this side to get it a bit lower. All right, so we have the canal ready, and you know, we're looking at this angle. It looks very similar to the canal we looked at on Google Maps. So I think this looks pretty cool. Now we should totally get a walking path beside the canal. Now we could make like the canal walkable, which is an option, but I feel like leaving it as like a bit more industrial kind of works. But we need to get a few things out here as well. So one of those things are the locks, right? So, oh wow, I threw an extra thing down in here. Oh wait, no, it's just the releveling because we messed up the terrain. Okay, we're good. So we need to go to our bridge pieces, or our pedestrian paths, And we're gonna grab one of them in particular, which I think is the amusement park path. I think is gonna work really well. So if we go down to about, let's go on this side over here. We're gonna put 2 locks in. We're gonna go elevated and straight. And then let's turn off our guidelines too, that's gonna be useful. From about here, right where the water starts getting weird. So we might need to fix this. We're gonna go out on an angle like that. Then we're gonna come back the same kind of rough angle like that. All right, so here we go. We have locks, and this looks awesome. I really like this. It's kind of hiding the funky issues a little bit, but not perfectly. But I think this lock system is going to work out great. We got the bridge over top of it. That's really cool. That wasn't on the example lock that we were talking about, though. But I think this looks really good. Now we can get some pedestrian access across too, which is really neat. I think this is going to work out really, really good. So now we can build out this area now that we know where the pedestrian path is going to be. I was debating about how far it needed to go, but I think this is going to work out great. So the boats come into here, and then these gates open. The water level levels out to this side in here, and then these gates open. The boat goes in the middle here, and then it rises up a little bit. Not much because the difference isn't that great. But then these gates open once it's re-leveled to this side, and then the boat goes through. So while we did say that the lake level got lowered, it didn't need to lower an incredible amount in the end. So yeah, there we go. It's not at the same level as the ocean, at least, or Oracle Lake, or Oracle Bay, sorry. So now we can extend out the grid area through here. So let's just extend out the roads through here a little bit, not too much. All right, so here we go. We extended out the area a little bit, and we even got a road down to this area here for maybe some extra buildings or something like that. But now we're starting to see, kind of similar to what we saw in Google Maps, how this canal is going to kind of work. So this track here was probably, depending on the era, really, but there's always a path beside it because sometimes they needed to tow boats with horses or with a steam engine or something like that through the canal, instead of nowadays we just got motorboats. They can just kind of go themselves, but sometimes they needed a bit of help. So there's usually like a dragaway or something like that. I forget the exact term for that little right of way. So I think we're gonna include that in the path, just like we saw on Google Maps. But let's build out this area a little bit. I'm thinking the park is gonna be all of this hill, and then we'll get maybe like a few buildings in here, maybe. And then we'll get the path underneath here, and then over, we might connect up into this side too, down. And then the park is going to include this forest here too, because why not? And then we'll leave the other side for now, until we actually build out this way. But let's get that going, and then the next step is we'll probably look at the waterfront area through here. All right, so we detailed up Webster Canal, and what do we have through here? Well, we have a little cafe here, which I think is great. And then we have the info booth where you can probably get some historical information about this. We have this little asset here, which just came in on its own, but I think I like the parking there, so I left it. We have a few of these little lookout towers, which maybe you can climb up and get a cool view. I mean, that's some pretty good views right there. But maybe there's some like history in those areas too that you can learn. And then same thing over here. We have another one. We have a big lookout tower over on this side, which we might need to clip down some of these larger trees so that we can see over top of them. So let's take out just the large ones here. This is kind of the gist of it, right? We have the main parking area, and we have the walking paths. I think that's pretty much all we really need. We have the dog park too. Don't need those buildings. Those ones are too big. Same with that one. Not really work. You know what? All of them don't work except for this one. That one's perfect. We'll leave that pharmacy there. But what else do we need? Well, I was talking about how you're going to come out this way and you'll probably find some history with the canal and stuff like that. So there are some signage posts that you can get in the nature reserve, which are perfect for like learning, like to imitate that, like you're learning about the history of the area right here. So I'll plop this right here, right at these intersections. And you know what? These paths need to be higher. All right, so we're just gonna add in a few of these signs throughout this area at like these junction points. I think these are good little spots to have these signs. So maybe they also say some directions too. That is useful. Yeah, so there's the Webster Canal. I think this is going to be very useful to have in the area. All right, so I said I was going to detail out the waterfront up to this point because we needed the ferry. So I think that's what we're gonna do next. But yeah, wow, this looks awesome. I really like that. I really like how the canal kind of looks. This will be really useful for when people, or for when we build up the side of the area. Okay, well, I think the theme of the waterfront is a bit of revitalization. That also came from a comment. Maybe get it a bit more, modern kind of style. And I think that's a good idea for us to implement through this area. All right, fantastic. So we got Prattsburg waterfront through here, and that's going to be its own kind of little district area. Why are we keep getting these really tall buildings? Oh, we don't need that. But I don't mind these ones. All right. Yeah, so that's what we're going to be doing next. So we're going to need a spawn point for the pedestrian area. Let's plan out this first. So this main street here, what I'm kind of thinking of is maybe we get one of these larger pedestrian streets, and we'll do the one with trees in the middle. Let's choose a type. I don't think we've used bluestone that much, so let's do that. We'll bring this one out 6 units, I guess, because we started losing the grid there. There we go. And then I'm just going to then pull it forward so we don't lose the grid angle. We're going to jump around a little bit, and then we're going to pull it up right up to the canal here, or the key wall, sorry. And then if we grab node control, or no, network multi-tool, we'll be able to add in a node right here on the canal, and that should make things look a little smoother. All right, so we have the main kind of area through here. That's awesome, but we need a spawn point for the pedestrian areas, right? So let's go to here. We'll grab a spawn point. Oops, wrong section. Now, I think we could probably get away with just the small one here, to be honest. We're not going to have that many buildings here, so let's grab this. And I was thinking we could easily slide it in like along this side where we have some industry already. But maybe we can find like a more unique little spot, maybe in like a modern industry area out this way. We didn't build anything out over here on purpose, so perhaps out that way is a good idea. So inside of this area here, we need the ferry. So let's figure out how we're going to get the ferry in. That's going to be the main priority. And once we get the ferry done, we're going to move on to the oil industry. And this should be called... All right, so here we go. We got this ferry stop in. I was trying to figure out where exactly I wanted it, and because it needs road access, I figured it's probably best to get it off of a secondary road here. So this means that we can move some stops around here too, and then get the ferries in. So these stops right here, for example, are perfect to move down into the ferry depot. So if we just grab the bus stops here, we can grab this, throw it down here right in front, and then we'll do the same thing for this one. And yeah, so they come out of the station here, they go down to the ferry hub. This one, same idea. It goes right down into the ferry. Now, technically, we don't really need that, right? So we could just leave this white one, for example, right here instead. Makes the route a little shorter. I think it's probably best. Now we could drag this one down into there too. So instead of stopping right here, for example, we could bring this one right down in, and then it goes to the tram depot. So this one goes all the way out from the station here. So I think this is a good little option to have. There we go. So I decided on this one instead of the larger one because I just don't see us needing a larger ferry depot this way. I think we can probably get away with just this. So I'm just gonna bring it out this way, probably on a bit more of a rounded angle here, right through the middle of the little lake, maybe a bit closer to Oracle Bay Harbor. But I don't think we have a ferry stop in here, nor do I think we're going to connect this up with a ferry stop because we have the tram. This ferry is going to go right through here, right through this little tight corridor. It's very tight, but I think we can do it. Fantastic. And I think that's all we're going to do. I don't think I'm actually going to connect it across the river here. I think they can transfer there if they need to. But let's look at the ferries. And we're going to go to here. Ferry line. Oh, we just drew in the path. We need to actually draw in the line now. Of course, of course. So we're going to go there to here, to here, and we're done. So now we have ferry line 2, and this one has 4 boats on it. No. I think 2 is probably fine for now. We'll use the 80 capacity ferry because why not? Actually, this one has 70. Let's use that one. And we'll see how it looks. All right, yeah, look at that. People are already using the ferry too, so that is awesome to see. Let's just make sure that there's only 2. Yeah. Actually, we might need 3 looking at it. Let's just get 3. It's a pretty long route. Why not? Okay. So we have these buildings here. Oh, this one's perfect for this side. We'll leave that one there. And then we have this little pocket right here. I think we're just going to kind of have to build some parks in these areas. I think it works too, having parks out this way. So let's look at doing that, and then we'll move down onto this side. All right, so there we go. We have our first little waterfront area. Now let's continue it out through here. Now, a lot of this is going to be pedestrian road through here. I'm thinking We don't need to run the same path all the way along. But I'm thinking what we're going to do is we're going to run a road down to here, connect it up with this pedestrian path, then we'll change things up for the rest of it. Yeah, so I'm liking building out this way. This has been a ton of fun building out this way. And I think the next 2 episodes are going to be out here again, at least one more. But the reasoning is because I think we still can make a bit more money, and I would like to kind of help finish off at least this waterfront area through here. I think that's a priority before we move into the downtown core, because that's going to get us a lot of money through the area. So yeah, I think that's going to be the plan, and then we'll move on to the downtown and the campus after that. I've also been reading your comments, and I'm glad that you are also enjoying these little towns. I think they're really fun to build, and they definitely help round out the area, don't they? All right, so from this area here, we should have some nice clean grids. I am not going to zone anything on this area, but I think we could definitely get a few more condos through this on this main street kind of thing. But I don't want to get anything too big, right? So I think something like that should be. Whoops. Okay, maybe not right here then. We'll try and get a bit of commercial, or maybe an office. Let's see if we can get a cool wall-to-wall office. That's not office. There we go. This is office. So let's see. This is probably the biggest condo we're gonna have. All right, this is a little too tall here. But there's no balconies on this side, so I think we can delete it. Maybe we can be a little bit picky with the condo that we're going to choose for here. All right, so yeah, that looks real cool. I like that. I like the look of this. Now, this whole area is not going to have any more roads, I think. I think we're going to leave the rest up to be pedestrianized and into like a large park. I think this will be a good addition. However, I want to get a parking lot because I feel like people would drive out this way, and we can get like a cool like gate or something like that. So I think we have like paid parking zones. Let's try and find them. I think they're in the Railroads of Japan pack. Yeah. So large paid parking lot. Let's get some of these paid parking lots out this way. All right, so we have some waterfront revitalization here, which is really cool. So we have some nice big condos along the main street, but we have a little bus hub through here. We have a cool waterfront area with some old brick buildings mixed in with some new modern things. And then we have a nice big parking lot here for people who want to drive in for the area. We have the botanical gardens, which I haven't used in a long time, so I wanted to use it and in this build at least. And I think this is really cool. And over here we have just a few smaller condos, but I think this whole area turned out really, really nicely. Now it's time for us to talk about the oil industry, because this was kind of the purpose of the build, right? So we have the town through here, which we can probably expand a little bit more. We have this little pocket through here, but we also have this oil industry and rail running through here, so we need to get a rail station. So I'm looking at the best spot for the rail station. We could probably bring the rail out this way, maybe crossing this road. I'm not too sure what's going to happen with this road in particular. Maybe we loop it into this one here, and then we can cross. We can get the rail to cross into here, and then maybe have it on this side, or maybe we can kind of have the rail over here so that it can be kind of the same general area as all this farming stuff over here, so we can get some help with that. Yeah. Okay, so the waterfront here, probably we could get like an old pier. I'm not sure if we would still be using this pier today. That's a good question. Well, it probably exists because we lowered the water level, so that's why this is here. So maybe we can get in some sort of element on that, so we need to make sure that we respect that part. Maybe that would be right in here, that little harbor. So maybe we can start thinking about dredging it a little bit to make sure that it would actually be suitable for a ship to come in. And then we have to figure out where we're going to have our main kind of operation. So I think the main operation is going to be maybe right in this old area here, the old pier and stuff. I think that could probably work rather than having it over on this side. Yeah, I think in this little pocket here is probably the best spot for it. Or maybe on this side, if we do just get the rail, maybe we could get it right beside that area. Yeah, let's use this area right beside the forest complex industry zone. So we have Baxter Oil and Gas. Let's get that out over into here. I mean, that's pretty realistic to see these industry buildings these industry operations kind of right off of these side roads. I think that's pretty normal. So let's not make sure that we don't get the rail on that though. If we are going to get the rail on this road, which I think we're going to, we should probably make sure that we have it on like a one-way system. But let's grab our rural roads and then let's just continue these roads a little bit further because it's good to kind of plan things out, right? All right, so along High Street here, we are going to need to have a bit of a one-way road system. So we're going to go one-way road right through here, and then this one will try to line up with a road running through here. So if we just kind of go like this, one way out like that. All right, so we have our cargo station in here now, which is going to be great. I'm hoping that it takes some of the cargo goods, so this station doesn't get too clogged if we increase the amount of goods through here. Yeah, I think the next step is to actually start getting the oil and gas area working, and then we're going to probably call it. I think we'll save the non-industries DLC farms for next time, as we kind of expand out this way with this factory too. But if we're going to get the main kind of area through here, I think we can get another road connection through here running through. And I think that having these 2 points and then maybe another one over here off of this dirt road into here, I think those 3 points of contact are probably good into this area. But I'm thinking we might not get all of the refineries out this way too, because we're a bit close to some water, so maybe we push the refinery aspect of it out this way. Now I don't think I'm going to get the unique factory that is the big oil refinery. I don't think that kind of fits the theme of the area, but we can totally get some other things like the soft paper factory and whatnot. But again, those factories we're going to save those for another day. So I think we're not going to run everything off of these types of roads. I think we're probably going to dive into the industry roads at this point here. So why don't we use the 4-lane industry road for this connection point, like that. Yeah, and then we don't need a a straightaway on that one arrow right here. Come on, let's do this. There we go. We don't need that. But I think everything else works out great. And then we have this area through here for some cargo and whatnot. So let's get that in too. Let's start with the warehouses because they are really useful. And I think we could probably go with this one here, right beside the cargo train station. Now we could have used this one, the warehouse railway connection, but I don't think this is technically the right area for that. Maybe we'll use it again soon. But yeah, let's get this one right beside it, just there like that. I like the combination of these two assets together. They work out really nicely together. And then we have a few options for some buildings out this way too, which is good. All right, so let's get these going. So what are we going to be producing? We're going to be producing petroleum, petroleum, and then we'll be producing plastics. So I'm going to put both of these on empty, and there we go. So this is going to be like the main avenue through the oil refinery area, or the oil extraction area. So I'm just going to do a bit of a free form, kind of splitting these two areas in half, 1 and 2. And then once we get to a certain point, I think we'll probably just kind of dead end it. Actually, we could probably sneak a road out that way if we want to. But yeah, right about there. And then actually we're going to back this up with the 4-lane option until about there. That works, yeah. Because we're just going to get some offshoots. Now I think this is a bit of a steep road, so this one would totally be graded with this concrete road, but the rest of them don't need to be concrete roads. They can be dirt roads and whatnot, but I think we'll do the same thing on this side too. And then we'll actually just curve this one right in. All right, so now that we got these kind of main roads through here, I think we can safely start building up some things. So we have our main building, and then we have our oil industry workers barracks. Now this one used to be like the best asset for like a fake motel, but I think we could easily get this right beside here. It would fit really nicely, just kind of right in this little pocket. At least that's what I was hoping would happen. We might need to move this road over a little bit. All right, so that is a good little addition right there. Let's move on to the next asset, which is the maintenance building. Now this one is really cool because I really like this building on like the main roads, kind of like this right here. Now these ones are also really versatile. Like you can use them in so many different types of builds, like a landfill, for example. I think it could work in. Yeah, any industry area, it could definitely work. So I'm just trying to connect these fences so that it looks like it's a shared fence. And we can get this right off the main road here. That's awesome. It doesn't necessarily need to even be tied into the oil industry area at all. It could be like a separate industry kind of company. But we have the oil extractors, and then we have this small oil drilling rigs. My goodness. I think these are the ones we're going to use because I think they look a bit more like, I don't know. They don't look so traditionally oil. They look a little bit different, and I think that's kind of what we're going to use. So let's try and get to... This one is a really cool asset. Works great in airports and stuff like that too. Alright, so I'm just going to hide the large oil drilling rig right up in here. I think that's a good little spot. And right off of all of these little cul-de-sac things, I think we can get 1 or 2 of these. Now I'm actually thinking we're going to move this guy over to here. Yeah, so we don't get 2 right on this main road. Maybe even I would get rid of both of them and put them on this side off of the main street. I think that's a good idea. Yeah, tons of more we can do with this area, but we definitely are running out of time for the build today. But I want to get like some old waterfront port, I think would be a good idea. So I'm trying to think about how we're going to do this, because I don't want to actually get the harbor asset. I don't think this is going to really work, because it's going to be impossible for us to draw in the path, but I want to make it seem like there would be, particularly because we already have closed the canal gates here, right? So we're not going to be able to ever get that in. But I think we can get a few unique little buildings in here. All right, so I think this is a good old pier here for these ships. So these ships would have come in to here, docked, and then they would have had the oil kind of inserted onto here. Now this idea was we've kind of used before in Fort Prairie, but Shukaboa showed me this idea to get the monorails kind of like little above ground pipelines which flow right into these little waterfront areas. So definitely credit to Shuka, incredible waterfront builder. Skylines 6 member 2 if you want to check out their channel. So I think we're going to run this right into here. Probably going to reroute this dirt road, and then what we'll do is kind of create a bit of like a mini refinery nearby, and then that will kind of be where the oil is stored before it goes on to the ships, or used to at least. Who knows if this is still used? I would doubt that the ships would still come in here, but maybe like occasionally. So maybe the gates are still technically operational, or the channel canal things. My goodness, I forgot what the locks. That's the word. The locks are still operational. All right, so let's get a couple of these guys here. So we'll just get 2. And we could use the large one, but the large one is a little bit too big. So I think the 2 here is probably good. Awesome. Okay, so now it really looks like the pipeline runs right through here, and I think that's really, really cool. I like this this idea here from Shuka. So yeah, that definitely makes the area look a lot cooler, doesn't it? All right, so let's just add in a few more things, and then I think we will call it, or should we call it here? I think we'll call it here, because we have everything operational that we need. We have the oil refineries and everything like that. We just need to actually plop down the oil refinery assets, yeah, I think we can easily do that right over in this little pocket here, because I don't really want to use too many of them, but I think for now we'll just plop them down just to get them operational. So we just need a couple things like this, and then we need the plastics thing. So I'm just gonna plop them down over here. We'll definitely deal with them next time. But what should we do? Should we do the oil refinery? No, let's get the screenshot of the canal here. All right, so I hope you have a wonderful day, folks. We'll chat soon. Have a good one. Peace out.